This land, this very field, still remembers the call of his footsteps, the footsteps of the one who was first to cross to the other side and return as servant of Olma. I am the last archivist of the Second Age, the final voice of House Genioslav, and today we open the incomplete chronicles of the man whom later generations would name the First Nightbound Necromancer. Some of these records are treated as legend, and yet they leave behind a disturbingly precise image. We return to the days of the First Age, when humanity first stood in the path of the most furious calamity ever cast upon our world, the wrath of the Red Sister. Our story begins in one of the northern villages in the year 334 of the First Age. An ordinary town, small but alive, a crowded market square, children causing trouble in narrow alleys, priests reciting their prayers, architecture raised from black oak and basalt stone. And on one of the streets there lived a man, a mage and a merchant, a husband and a father, Vaelric. Though some translations call him Vaelric, others Vaelric, we will remain with Vaelric of the Black Bridge, the last city before the beginning of the far north. Most of his time was spent inside his shop laboratory, where he prepared spells for the local people. He was skilled in his craft. A hard-working mage had little reason to complain about the rewards of his labor. His enchantments spread through nearby towns like a sickness, bringing him more work and more gold. Building his trade among the northern communities, where life itself was harsher, proved to be a perfect decision. Over the years, he gathered considerable wealth. Professional success walked hand in hand with personal fortune, a beautiful wife, 3 healthy children, and an estate in the very heart of the town. For a man living this close to the edge of civilization, his life was exceptionally good. But the North never allowed a man to believe for too long that he had won. The end of the year 334 brought winter early, and it brought it brutally. The great snow came without warning, and with it arrived troubling news of strange events taking place in the far north. Merchant caravans traveling to the most distant roads began to disappear. Those who returned spoke of nightmares descending upon villages and towns, swift, brutal attacks that came from nowhere. The attackers resembled nothing known, not trolls, not the spirits of the northern forests, not wild beasts. They were too fast, too aggressive. They appeared without warning, left only destruction behind them, and vanished before anyone could truly understand what they had seen. Vaelric, if you had seen what is happening in the deep north, the traveling merchant's hands trembled as he spoke. I have never seen anything like it. We've dealt with local creatures many times before, but this was something else. I don't even know what to call it, because truthfully, I never even saw it. The rear guard was simply there, and then it wasn't. Nothing was left of them. Vaelric barely looked up from his work. Oh, surely some local beasts. This winter came early, and it came viciously. The rest is exhaustion speaking. It happens from time to time. Creatures grow bolder when the frost strikes this suddenly. No, brother. The merchant leaned forward. If it were trolls, bears, wolves, even winter spirits, I would know. But this was different. That speed, that aggression, single attacks on one village after another. It is a pattern, and it keeps happening more often. Rest. Drink this. It will help you calm down. Vaelric placed a mug of warm ale into the wandering merchant's hands. The usual price for my materials? Yeah, the usual. They finished the transaction, and soon after the traveling merchant left the shop. It was already the second story of this kind Vaelric had heard from merchants returning from the far north. Still, there was a logical explanation. The winter was unusually cruel. Every attack by local beasts simply meant harsher conditions this year. A natural cycle, the same pattern repeated whenever winter arrived with sharper teeth. After closing the shop, he went straight home. The moment he crossed the threshold of the place where he found rest, his children came running toward him with wide smiles on their faces. "Father! Father!" they shouted with bright, reckless joy. "My little monsters," he said, kneeling to greet them. "How was your day? What were you conquering today?" "Father, Auntie told us about the troll, the huge one from the mountains, the one you defeated, and then we chased the other children." "I'm glad you had a good day," he answered with a smile. "Now, go continue your glorious campaign." The children ran toward the largest room in the house, shouting over one another, arguing about who would play their father and who would be the troll. A cheerful trio, loud, chaotic, alive, exactly as children should be. "Good evening, my love." Vaelric stepped into the kitchen and kissed his wife on the cheek. "Good evening. How was the shop today? I saw the caravan returning from Norpos. I assume you were restocking supplies." Winter is clearly wearing everyone down. The merchants were complaining about the growing number of attacks. She looked at him gently. "If something happens, you will protect us, my husband." Vaelric met her gaze. "Yes, nothing will happen to us." The five of them sat down together for supper. Later, when the children had gone to sleep, Vaelric remained alone in his study, turning through old books beneath candlelight. He fell asleep over an open tome on battle magic. "Vaelric, you will find me in the mountains." He woke violently, drenched in sweat. Another night. Again. Something was calling him. Somewhere in the caves beneath the mountain range. The voice did not sound like a dream. It was too clear, too calm, too certain. Vaelric placed the book back on the shelf and began searching through with growing urgency, looking for one specific volume. The Chronicles of Bord the Grey, one of the first priests, the man responsible for recording everything humanity knew of the gods. He found it. He pulled the old, time-bitten book from the shelf and placed it on the desk. The leather binding was cracked, its pages darkened by moisture and years. A moment later, his wife stepped into the study. "You should sleep. It's late, and tomorrow we will have another long day." I had the same dream again, but tonight it felt real, as if something was calling me, as if something was trying to reach me. She stepped closer, her voice softer now. My love, you are exhausted. You listened to too many stories from those caravan merchants, and now your mind is feeding on them. Come to bed. That is not a request. Vaelric let out a quiet breath. Very well, I'm coming. They lay down together, and in each other's arms they finally slept. The next morning greeted them with heavy, suffocating snow. Vaelric rose and began preparing for work, when during his morning routine he heard the voice again. You must find me. It is the only way to save them. He froze, as if something heavy had struck the back of his skull. For the first time, he had heard the voice awake. Not in sleep, not in dreams. Awake. That was too much. I am truly exhausted. I need few days of rest. I will settle everything in the shop and the laboratory, and then I will spend some time with my family. The business can wait. He packed his things, threw on his coat, and left for work. The day began like every other. A few customers, some needing more, some less. Same questions, the same transactions, the same rhythm that had for years given him the illusion of order. Until the bells rang. From the main building of the village. Alarm bells. He stepped outside. People were already gathering in the market square, surrounding several riders who had just entered Black Bridge. The horses were covered in foam, and the riders themselves looked less like men returning from a journey, and more like men who had crawled back from the grave. Vaelric moved closer to the crowd. From the noise, he caught fragments. Norpos has fallen. Master Uhtred is dead. In a matter of hours, the greatest city of far north was swallowed by an unknown enemy. And then it reached him. Whatever this was, it would come for Black Bridge next. You do not have much time. Move. Find me. The voice returned. Vaelric felt cold. Not from the snow, but from something far older. He understood now that this was no ordinary winter. These were not beasts driven from the forests by hunger. This was something else. Something even Uhtred had failed to stop. Master Uhtred, the man who had taught him the art of magic, dead. We still don't know what it was, one of the riders gasped, barely able to breathe. We barely escaped. Creatures came, monsters we had never seen before, said another. Furious, blood-hungry. We don't know if anyone else survived. Uhtred tried to stop them, but even he couldn't. One of those beasts tore his throat open. He never had a chance. People, run while you still can. You will all die. As Vaelric listened, he understood that something was ending, and that he was the one who had to act. You have few days, Vaelric. Now, move, or there will be nothing left to return. This time, the voice was so clear, it felt as though someone stood beside him. Vaelric turned sharply, scanning the crowd. Faces, fear, shouting, chaos. But no one was looking at him. No one had spoken. He returned to the shop. He took his tome of battle magic, the old luck totem from his desk, and without a word locked the door behind him. Then he went straight home. He entered with force and shut the door behind him as if something were truly chasing him. "What is happening, my love?" His wife came from the kitchen. She had already seen the unrest in the market square through the window. "Do you remember the nightmares? And the voice I told you about?" He reached her almost breathless, like a man running ahead of death itself. "Yes? But what does that have to do with what is happening in the village? And why are you breathing like you've just escaped it?" "Uhtred is dead." Silence. "What? Your master? Dead? What happened? Was he ill? Did someone harm him?" "Vaelric, the way you are speaking terrifies me. Please calm down. I don't understand. What happened?" "Norpos has fallen. They say nearly everyone there is dead. I have to leave. Now. The voice is calling me. I have to find it. I know that if I do not, we all die." "Norpos has fallen? That's impossible." "And yet it happened. And so you will simply leave us?" Her voice broke. "The city will descend into chaos. If Norpos has fallen, refugees will be here within days. You will leave me here with the children, alone?" "My love, I have to." His voice was quiet now. "If I do not, there will be no us. There will be nothing left." He looked directly into her eyes. And for the first time in her life, she saw fear in them. Not panic, not hysteria. Something worse. The certainty of a man who had already understood the scale of the disaster approaching. His voice trembled, but his body remained still. His hands did not shake. He stood firmly, as if the decision had been made long ago, and now he was only speaking it aloud. The only sign of weakness was in his eyes, and in the tone he could no longer hide. "I will pay the guards. I will bribe them if I must. They will watch over you, over the house. I will do everything I can to make sure nothing happens to you until I return." For a brief moment he allowed himself the shadow of his former smile. "Besides, without me, this miserable hole is doomed anyway. They will all be praying for my return." "I will too." She looked at him with pleading eyes, though they knew both already. The decision had been made. She could not stop him. She could only stand there and watch her husband walk willingly into the jaws of something neither of them truly understood. She stood straight, holding herself together with the last of her strength, refusing to break in front of him. Do you want to say goodbye to the children before you leave? Yes. He wrapped his arms around her and held her tightly, as if trying to memorize the weight of her. Together, they walked into the room where the children were still playing. A quick greeting, an even quicker farewell. No needless explanations. Children always know when something is wrong. Daddy, will you come back to us? Did something happen? Vaelric knelt before them. My little ones. Yes, something has happened, and your father must leave, because I need to find an answer. I need to understand why this is happening, and I need to do everything I can to stop it. We love you, Daddy. They threw themselves into his arms, understanding only that something was changing. And I love you. He held all three of them tightly. He kissed each one of them on the forehead. Then he took his coat and walked out of the house. 2 horses were already prepared for the road. Provisions packed, the tome, the battle staff, the enchanted blade, ready. He looked at the animals. 1 horse was black as coal, the other white, burdened with supplies and equipment. He patted both across their backs, a simple gesture of friendship before departure. His mind was drowning in thoughts of death, of destruction, of an enemy without a name, of what would happen if he did not arrive in time, of what would happen to his family if he arrived too late. He tried to steady his breathing. A true storm raged inside him. Was any of this real, or was madness already beginning to take him? Was this journey salvation, or the very death sentence of his family? He shook himself free of the thought and adjusted the saddle. Snow was falling, slowly but heavily. No wind. Every snowflake could be seen in the pale light of the winter sunset, as if the sky itself were descending into the earth, layer by layer. His wife came to the stable. She embraced him tightly. They kissed one last time before he had to leave. I will return before anything can reach you. I promise. He mounted the horse. We will wait, and we will pray to the gods that nothing happens to you. Her face revealed more than fear for her husband. She feared that tomorrow itself might never come, that whatever had destroyed Norpos would come here next, and when it did, there would be nowhere left to run. There were no more farewells. One last exchange of glances, one final wave of the hand as he rode away. There was no turning back now. Uhtred is dead. And in that moment Vaelric understood. Whatever destroyed Norpos was coming for Blackbridge next, for his home, for his children, for everything. I am the last archivist of the Second Age, and tonight we close the first chapter of Vaelric's chronicle, the chapter where he was only a husband, a father, a man, because the next one belongs to fear, to sacrifice, and to the road north, where gods no longer whisper, they demand. If you wish to open that page with me, leave your mark in the chronicles, a like, a comment, a subscription, and if you wish to support the archivist directly, coffee waits below. Until the next time.